You've been called too much your whole life. Too sensitive. Too intense. Too quiet at parties. Too loud in your own head. And somewhere along the way, you started believing them. But what if everything they called a flaw, every strange habit, every odd quirk, every moment where you didn't fit the mold, was never a weakness at all? What if it was actually your mind working exactly the way it was built to? What if the version of you they criticized was actually the strongest version? What if the cracks they pointed to were letting in light, not breaking you apart? Something is about to shift in the way you see yourself. In this video, I'm going to show you 10 habits that the world calls weird, habits that psychology and neuroscience have now proven are direct signs of an exceptionally sharp mind. Specifically in women. Stay all the way through, because one of these habits is going to hit you so hard that you'll finally stop apologizing for the way you're wired. Let's start with the one that gets the most eye rolls. You're in the kitchen, trying to remember where you put your keys, and without even thinking, you start talking out loud. Someone nearby gives you a look. But here's what they don't know. A study published in the Quarterly Journal of Experimental Psychology found that people who verbalize their thoughts process information significantly more efficiently. It's called self-guidance, and psychologists say it's one of the most powerful cognitive tools a sharp mind naturally reaches for. When she talks to herself, she's taking the chaos inside her head and giving it shape. She's externalizing her thought process so she can see it, sort it, and solve it. Talking to herself isn't madness. It's her brain doing exactly what brilliant minds do, working out loud. That habit is not your flaw. It is your gift. You've heard it your whole life: early to bed, early to rise, successful people wake up at 5 a.m. But something happens at 11 p.m., or midnight, or 2 in the morning, the house goes quiet and suddenly, your mind wakes up. This isn't insomnia. This is intelligence running on its own schedule. Psychologist Satoshi Kanazawa studied over 20,000 people and tracked their sleep patterns against their intelligence scores. His finding was striking: people with higher IQs consistently gravitated toward being night owls. From an evolutionary standpoint, staying up late is itself a sign of cognitive flexibility. It means your brain is willing to override the default and is comfortable with the unconventional. That is not a small thing. So if you've ever felt guilty for being at your most creative at midnight, stop. Your brain isn't broken. It's just running on its own beautiful clock. Is there a stack of papers that make sense to no one but you? Notes in 4 different notebooks. A coffee cup sitting on top of something important. That mess is not laziness. Researchers at the University of Minnesota found that people who worked in a messy room produced ideas that were significantly more creative, more original, and more unconventional. A disordered environment stimulates the kind of thinking that breaks rules and finds new answers. A highly intelligent woman's attention is always on the next idea, the puzzle she hasn't solved yet, the connection she's about to make between two completely unrelated things. Her mind doesn't have spare bandwidth to care about where the scissors are. And the most fascinating part? She almost always knows where everything is. It looks like chaos from the outside, but inside that chaos is her own private system, and it works perfectly. A passing comment someone made 3 days ago. A decision she has to make next week. A conversation she hasn't had yet but is already rehearsing in her head. Society calls this anxious. Psychology calls it something else entirely. Psychology calls it hypervigilance, and in intelligent minds, it functions as a kind of early warning system. Research consistently shows that high verbal intelligence is directly linked to heightened worry. She doesn't overthink because she's weak. She overthinks because her mind is always trying to protect her, scanning the horizon, mapping the terrain, preparing a plan B before plan A has even begun. That is not anxiety. That is armor. The exhaustion is real. But so is the extraordinary gift underneath it. Her mind never stops working, not even when the rest of the world is asleep. If you're still here, still nodding along, that's not an accident. Your subconscious already knows what your conscious mind is only just starting to accept, that you are not too much. You are exactly enough. She can be warm, funny, deeply loving, and still need to be alone. Not because she doesn't care about people, but because being around people costs her something that being alone gives back. A landmark study by evolutionary psychologists Norman Lee and Satoshi Kanazawa looked at over 15,000 adults and found something surprising. For highly intelligent people, frequent social contact could actually reduce their sense of well-being. Intelligent minds evolved to solve complex problems independently. Their brains are wired for deep work that simply cannot happen in a crowd. When she chooses a quiet evening over a loud party, she isn't running away from life, she is running toward her best self. Her solitude isn't absence. It's presence, with the one person who understands her completely, herself. Her glasses are on her head. She's been looking for them for 10 minutes. And for years, she has quietly wondered, is something wrong with me? The human brain has limited working memory. When that mental desk is covered with big, complex, high-priority problems, the kind a sharp mind naturally gravitates toward, there is simply no room left for low-stakes information. Where you put your keys is not important enough to compete with the idea her brain is currently trying to fully form. Her mind is full of things that matter. It lets go of things that don't. Her forgetting is not a sign of decline. It's a sign of occupation. Her mental desk isn't empty and waiting, it is already completely full of something extraordinary. She can't just accept things because that's how it's always been done. Tell her a rule exists and her first instinct is to ask why. Show her a tradition no one has examined in decades and she'll be the one quietly wondering whether it still serves anyone. This habit makes some people deeply uncomfortable, she gets called difficult, too much to deal with. But this refusal to accept things at face value is one of the most historically significant traits a mind can have. Every major breakthrough in human history started with someone who looked at the accepted truth and thought, but is it actually true? Her questioning isn't aggression. It's a mind that respects truth enough to refuse cheap imitations of it. She was never meant to follow blindly. She was meant to think. 7 habits down. 3 to go. These last 3 are the ones intelligent women most often carry in silence, the ones they've been told are their biggest failures. They're not. They never were. She makes a comment, and 2 seconds later, the room catches up and laughs. Her humor isn't casual. It's surgical. Understanding and using sarcasm and irony requires something remarkable from the brain. You have to simultaneously track what is literally being said, what is actually meant, and what the other person is likely to understand, all in a fraction of a second. Her jokes often contain 3 layers, the surface joke, the thing underneath it, and the thing underneath that. Her humor isn't a performance. It's intelligence wearing a smile. You're telling her something and she's there, until suddenly she isn't. Her eyes stay on you, she might even be nodding, but she's gone somewhere private and fast. Neuroscience has shown that during mind wandering, the brain's default mode network activates, the same network responsible for creative thinking, future planning, and complex problem solving. She doesn't zone out because she's bored. She zones out because her mind found something more urgent to attend to. Her mental absence is often the birthplace of her most brilliant ideas. Her mind is a restless traveler, constantly being pulled toward the new, the possible, the unexplored. She has a deadline. She knows exactly what needs to be done. And yet, she waits. Not because she doesn't care. She cares almost too much. Psychologist Piers Steele's extensive meta-analysis on procrastination revealed that intelligent people often delay starting tasks not because of laziness, but because of perfectionism and divergent thinking. Their minds generate too many possibilities, too many approaches, and they can't begin until the right path becomes clear. Her procrastination is not avoidance. It's the pressure of a mind that will not accept mediocrity from itself. And then, at the last possible moment, she begins. And what comes out is extraordinary. She doesn't start late because she's behind. She starts late because she's thorough in ways others never see. So here we are. 10 habits that the world calls strange, and science calls signs of an exceptional mind. You talk to yourself, come alive at night, work in beautiful chaos, think too deeply, crave your own company, forget the small things, ask too many questions, make jokes no one catches, disappear mid-conversation, and start late, but finish brilliantly. The world spent a long time trying to sand those edges off you. The world was wrong. Intelligence in women has never looked the way the world expected it to, and it never will. It has been messy and nocturnal and restless and deep. It has been misread as anxiety, as arrogance, as oddness. But it was always a gift. If even 3 of these habits live inside you, stop explaining yourself. Stop apologizing. Stop shrinking to fit rooms that were never built for someone like you. The habits they called your flaws. Those are exactly what make you unforgettable. If this video described you in a way you've never quite been able to describe yourself, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And tell me in the comments, which habit hit the hardest.
Like to learn more about human psychology? Like, comment, and share this video. Subscribe my channel now. Thank you for watching.